West Hill United is a progressive spiritual community where how you live is more important than what you believe. West Hill United is a people, a place, an idea. We are a community living out of a progressive faith, striving to make a positive difference in our own lives, the lives of others, and the world. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. or connect with us at any time.
Sorry for that little pause. We were all without the paper in front of us.
We have two readings for you this morning. The first was written by Ted Hughes, an English poet and children's writer. In 1956, he married the American poet Sylvia Plath. But Hughes stopped writing poetry almost completely for almost 3 years following Plath's suicide in 1963. But thereafter, he published prolifically, often in collaboration with photographers and illustrators. The only calibration that counts is how much heart people invest, how much they ignore their fears of being hurt or caught out or humiliated. And the only thing people regret is that they didn't live boldly enough, that they didn't invest enough heart, didn't love enough. Nothing else really counts at all. Our second reading is by Rochelle E. Goodrich, a graduate from Eastern Washington State University with bachelor's degrees in liberal studies, math, and science. Don't quit. When your latest efforts fail, don't quit. When your performance is scoffed and ridiculed, don't quit. When you're told you have no talent, don't quit. When you come in dead last, don't quit. When it seems an uphill fight to keep going, don't quit. When you can't see any possible way to achieve your goals, don't quit. When your last supporter is you alone, don't quit. When discouragement and depression seem your constant companion, don't quit. When you feel like quitting, don't quit. Time and again, you will crave relief from the harsh fight of trying to succeed. You will falsely think that quitting will bring peace and reprieve. But alas, only regret and disappointment await the quitter. Victory means never, ever, ever quitting. So don't quit. Do not quit. Offered as wisdom for the journey. May we
walk in His signs.
There is no right path. There is no wrong way. There is only the road you create and the choices out of which it appears. Stay your heart to those things that hold your dignity, compassion, love, courage, and strength. Walk with these surrounding you. They can neither change the course of history nor mask the tragedies that befall you, but they will cleave your heart to your right choosing, that by every step, the roadway you create and upon which you travel will be fused of trust and forgiveness. Trust in the inherent goodness within every heart you meet, and forgiveness extended to all whose hearts are hardened against you, against humanity, against the future. May the vast heavens above us and the unending earth beneath our feet stand witness today to this truth. Before us lies both life and death, joy and sorrow. May we ever choose what lies truest to our hearts, and in so doing, make manifest a path of beauty upon which we walk our lives. Turn it over to John.
Thank you, Ruth. Today, we're not having a TED Talk as such. It's really a kind of podcast, I suppose, but one with visuals and subtitles. I hope you find it inspiring. It's a talk by Brene Brown, whom we've had often at West Hill. And for those who are not familiar with her, she's a research professor at the University of Houston and holds the Huffington Foundation Endowment Chair. She's also a visiting professor in management at the University of Texas at Austin McCombs School of Business. She has spent the past 2 decades studying courage, vulnerability, shame, and empathy, and we've heard her speak on those topics because she's a well-respected guest at West Hill. If you're viewing this on our YouTube channel, you can do so by following the link shown on screen. So today's theme, Finding Courage to Stay in the Arena, is challenging, and it covers cultivating the courage, compassion, and connection to embrace our imperfections so that we can stay in the arena, to stay the course simply by trusting that we are enough. These are themes which might apply in our personal lives, and we might think that's fine and sufficient, but they might also apply to our connections as a community here at West Hill. And so I invite you to take from Brene's talk what you need today, what you think will help you.
I remember a group of people sitting on a hillside outside an office building where the minister inside was dealing with a great deal of criticism. And the people on the hillside showed up and said, "We're here." Couldn't do much. I recall we couldn't even use the washroom without permission, but we were there. And I remember knowing that some of our group here went to Parliament to speak on behalf of the voiceless. And some of the voices in the room were interrupting and laughing instead of listening. You in your life have tried to do something in your family, in your neighborhood, in your business, in your volunteer life. And sometimes it was beautiful and it worked, and other times it didn't work so well, and you got to hear things about you. Brene Brown made an interesting point there. It wasn't just the work was being criticized, it was personal. It was a criticism, and they go deep in the heart, and they hurt. And her advice is so sound and so good. Ruth, thank you for the way you read the readings this morning, right into our hearts and the focus moments as well. And I'm glad John chose that for this morning as West Hill enters new chapters, because West Hill has had its fair share of criticism. And we used to line the walls here with notes from people all over the world thanking West Hill for the stand it took. Didn't give up, didn't give in, and kept doing something we thought was good and right and wholesome and needed. But there was lots of criticism. I'm going to tell you about someone who showed up and faced criticism and kept going. And you maybe will be wondering why I'm telling you about this, and then you will see very clearly why I've chose this person, and I will ask you to sing along with his words. If every time I promise myself to bring the reading glasses to the podium. I am counting on the fact that in the seats, the people that show up who are disturbed by the fact that I forgot my glasses would tell me later if you wish. His name is Minot, or Minot, but I'm going to use the one pronunciation. Minot Judson Savage. Minot Judson Savage, born in 1841 in rural Maine. Loved it. He loved where he lived. He became a minister in the Unitarian denomination, and he was instrumental in shaping liberal Christianity and promoting religious tolerance and social justice, because he emphasized people using their personal conscience to decide how morally excellently they were going to live. And he challenged norms everywhere he saw norms that needed to be challenged. He advocated free inquiry and critical thinking, and not just accepting what an organization said or a church said. And I'm going to read to you a few of the things that were said about him. He had a belief in the inherent dignity of all beings, and we hadn't heard that for a while. And he urged people to reject exclusiveness and to embrace diversity. Now remember, we're in the late 1800s here. And he supported and he advocated against the grain for 3 areas where he thought if people said they were moral and spiritual, then they ought to be working. And his 3 areas were women's rights. He advocated for equal opportunities and fair treatment of women, and he was not popular for this. He advocated for labor reform, recognizing and addressing the working class's need for better conditions and wages. And if you know anything about the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s, there was a lot he saw when he looked with his conscience that needed to change. And he was highly criticized for this. Back in the late 1800s, he worked for racial equality, to dismantle, in his words, to dismantle racial prejudices. Now, if we saw these 3 issues today, we wouldn't say that Minot Judson Savage has been successful and overturned these 3 areas, because the 3 areas could have been on yesterday's news, today's news. But he showed up, he was criticized, and he kept going. His emphasis, according to one person who knew him, he emphasized love, compassion, and mutual respect, transcending, going beyond differences, and advocating to work for harmony in the way we live with one another. He wanted to uplift the marginalized, and promote equitable social order. And whenever we try to make things more even for people, the resistance comes, because that means someone has to give up some privilege in order for other people to get even basics. And he was criticized for that. So I'm going to read to you a poem he wrote, and then I'm going to ask you to hum along with it. This is his poem. O star of truth, down shining through clouds of doubt and fear, I ask beneath thy guidance my pathway may appear. However long the journey, however hard it be, though I be lone and weary, lead on, I follow thee. Star of truth, he sought truth, was his conscience. I know thy blessed radiance can never lead astray. though ancient creed and custom may point another way. Or through the untrod desert, or over trackless sea, though I be lone and weary, lead on, I follow thee. O star of truth, revealing through clouds of doubt and fear the ways of love and freedom, with wisdom ever near. Read that line again. O star of truth, revealing through clouds of doubt and fear the ways of love and freedom, with wisdom ever near. The struggles may be fierce and strong, the work may daunting be. Together we will travel, lead on, we follow thee. I would like very much to play this song softly, and I'm going to invite you, if you wish, to just hum along, not with the words, but with the meaning that Minot Judson Savage brought in the late 1800s, mid to late 1800s. He showed up, he worked for those areas we're still working for, he was heavily criticized, and he wrote this poem to say, the struggles may be fierce and strong, the work may daunting be. Together, such a good message for West Hill, together we will travel. Lead on, truth, lead on, we will follow thee. I'm just going to play, and I invite you to hum or just enjoy this piece and place any criticism you have experienced or are experienced for the work you're trying to do for others, be it in your family, be it in your community, be it in your country, be it in your world, and renew that commitment, though the work may daunting be, to follow the truth as you know it, to show up, to seek the arena, as Brene Brown has mentioned, with the criticism, and to so believe in what we're doing that we keep on. Star of Truth.
Become a sustaining champion of West Hill United's work by committing to an automatic monthly donation. Learn more or donate now through Canada Helps.